Hey,
Hi.
Penelope. Hi.
Welcome back.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome back. Yeah. So we're having quite a discussion here about the choice of pizza, and basically where I cannot get over this. People here actually want to have pineapple on their pizza. Like, what? I cannot get over this because, well, it's almost dinner time, so we're ordering pizza here for everyone. There are actually people here ordering pizza with pineapple. Don't give me that look. I can see you there. No, it's not like. Do you have an opinion about this? Because I have strong feelings.
So my preference is to not have pineapple on pizza, but I think we should just let people have their own things that they like. Right?
You're my next best friend now forever.
If people like pineapple on pizza, they should be allowed to have pineapple on pizza. I don't like if you're a group of people ordering a pizza, get a second pizza, one without pineapple. Problem solved, right? Yeah.
No. It's like no. You can ask every random Italian person. They will tell you it's not supposed to be on a pizza. No way.
Yeah, but
sorry, it's we're getting very heated discussions here because dinner time, everyone is grumpy and hungry. We're ordering pizza, and then this comes up. It's not supposed to be an issue, right?
Sure. I mean, I sort of, again, I run to just let people have their preferences. Is that how is your enjoyment of a pizza that doesn't have pineapple on it in any way reduced by somebody near you who does enjoy pineapple on pizza enjoying that pizza?
Okay. Still. So, well then, I'm not having pineapple on my pizza. So, Tetiana, I want to ask you something. What do you look forward most in Ruby 3? I mean, did you get the chance to watch Mats's talk?
Yeah, I watched mostly the biggest part of it. So I really looking forward to improve performance because it's what other communities are picking on us every time, and we can just pick on them. But anyway, improving performance will be better for everyone, and it'll be, I guess, never enough. So.
Same question for you, Penelope.
That's a really interesting question. I think so I have a lot of curiosity for what can be achieved with the Ruby type profiler. It's actually it's really interesting, right? So I attended Ruby Kaigi the last time it occurred physically in person, which is sort of the first time we got to see the type profiler, and having seen it now evolve, to me there's this the determining what the types of the program are at runtime through type profiling is really compelling. But what you will notice from Mats's talk is we don't actually have an officially sanctioned Ruby type checker yet. The Ruby team did not introduce a type checker today, and they also didn't introduce one at RubyKai. As far as I'm aware, the Ruby team has not really expressed an opinion on what form type checker will take. And as someone who is currently in the process of building developer tooling for the Ruby language, and actually, more importantly, I have some secret in the works after Ruby format projects that will benefit very heavily from type profiling. I'm very curious to see what we do with that. So that's kind of what's interesting to me.
Thank you both. I'm curious. It's been a good while now. I've had the opportunity to attend a few. I'm wondering. And Penelope, I know you were at you mentioned you were at Brighton Ruby. How's the feeling been of online events for you overall?
So, okay, as a speaker, doing an online event is so much harder than doing an in-person event. It turns out reading body language, reading noise, reading laughter from a crowd is actually super critical to actually feeling good while giving a talk, like, and just having nothing come back is like it makes it really difficult. It's funny, Sean, who is speaking later, they for RustConf pre-recorded their talk and had us all join in a Zoom call to be their audience. So like I actually got to watch their talk early and like was part of the virtual audience in a Zoom call, which I thought was a really interesting way of doing it. But yeah, that's tough. I mean, like I'm also a conference organizer, right? And so like it's also like it's interesting to note like definitely fewer people attending, fewer people submitting talks, I have generally found. So like it's also tough. It's just like we should be frank, this is a really hard time for everyone, right? Like it's a global pandemic. And yeah, I don't know. I do think, however, it's great we're pulling the community together, right, to do these things. Like doing something for the community is definitely doing better than doing nothing. And so like for the organizers, like thank you so much for making this happen. Like this feels like Ruby conference-ish in a way that is activating those parts of my brain, and it feels really good.
Yeah. So yeah, it's weird times, right? So I'm curious, Tetiana. So how are these times treating you? Like, have you been working remote only, or have you been going to the office once a while, or is this like I will never go to the office again because this is amazing? So how is this pandemic been treating you?
So I'm working in GitLab, which is like a fully remote company, and we don't have any office. And I've been working for about 2 years in from home, and I found it great. But like we have a few our developers here in Kharkiv where I live, so like sometimes we went together for the co-working day, and it was really nice to see people. But when this lockdown and pandemic starts, for me it was like, yeah, okay, I still I'm working from home. I still have to go out with my walking out my dog, so like nothing changed for me. Like everything is the same. But in a few months, I find out that like still like hitting me hard, because I can't feel like even if I want, I can't visit my family or my coworkers, and it's still like it's not very good like for anyone. If like even if my day style doesn't change it doesn't change at all, but still it's a bummer, I guess, for everybody.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. I mean, I think for all of us, it's been something similar, if not, it's tricky. So I really appreciated that you both came on today and gave us your wonderful talks. I want to throw in a cheeky question, if I may. As folks, as you might know, this is all happening live. However, Penelope alluded to this with Sean's talk. Some conferences are doing pre-recorded talks while we're doing these live events. I'm curious, for you, as both participants and as attendees, what's your preferred between live and pre-recorded talks for these online events, Penelope?
So the answer is it depends, actually. There's like a handful of factors, right? So for example, like if most of the other talks for a conference are going to be live, like I want to sort of like fill in with the rest of the set. Brighton Ruby, the talks were all pre-recorded. And like the interesting thing about that, for example, is like you can do multiple takes, right? And like what I actually did is I sent Andy, the organizer of the conference, like a bundle. I was like here's 4 takes, like just do whatever you want with them, right? And I don't know if Andy edited them together or like took one contiguous take, right? It also like sort of let us iterate. So like I sent like a like rough version and then took feedback, and so like there are some advantages in that you can do like many cycles. In fact, the talk you see today is actually like very directly adapted from the Brighton Ruby talk. So like it's basically multiple times. I have at least found from the live experience, and so like pre-recording is kind of like compressing that, giving multiple times live experience. So like, it's trade-offs, right? I don't know that one is better than the other. I think there are trade-offs between them.
How about you, Tetiana?
So we have learned that we can make art with the programming languages, draw, paint. But do you know that you can also make music or writing code? So I don't know that last year we had a talk. Well, basically, it's like how to make music with the programming language. And I think, Ramon, maybe you can tell us a bit more about our nice musical intermezzo.
Absolutely. However, sorry to tell you, they were a little bit ahead of schedule. It's 5:30 right now, CEST. So I would say let's keep going with our panel discussion until 6 o'clock, if that's fine with both of you, until we have our musical break with Nerd Disco and Half Byte. So, sorry, Tetiana.
No, sure, no problem. I was 30 minutes ahead of schedule.
No problem. So, yeah, Tetiana, I wanted to ask you about what your opinion was about pre-recorded versus live talks in online conferences.
So, like, basically, for me personally, it's much easier to do it live because, like, with pre-recorded, like, I've been trying to get if you learn a video, and it took like forever. Like, the one video took like 15. It's like long for 15 minutes, and it took me again 2 hours because I was taking takes like better, and it's like takes a lot of time. But at least, I don't know, like as Penelope says, that it's much easier to do it live, like with the audience, because you can read body language and you can like see the people's faces, and you can understand like are they understand what you're talking about or not. And I don't know, at least this when you're doing live online, at least this is give you some notion of like some urgency that it's like it's right now, and it's not you can't like undo it. So it is like special feeling when you're doing some public talks.
Yeah, for sure. Penelope, I don't know if you wanted to add something, Penelope. You kind of looked like.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I mean, like, I agree. Fundamentally, like, doing it live kind of feels most similar to getting up on a conference stage, right? And that's a feeling I've been missing. Like before the pandemic, I think I spoke at like 8 or 9 Ruby conferences the year before, right? And this this year, like it's 2. Maybe it will be 3 or 4 by the end of the year, right? So like it's a big difference.
Okay, so if you could change, so Tetiana, for your question, if you could change like one thing about Ruby, what would that be?
It's a really hard question. So, I don't know. So what I would change?
Maybe add something or remove something.
Yeah, formatter will be actually really nice to have. So, no, I don't know. Like, I guess I'm the person that like if I know if I know that this stuff works this way. So like for me, it's easier to follow the standard than like complain that I'm missing some features that I don't have. So like I don't know how to answer the question.
How about you, Penelope? If you could change one thing in Ruby, remove, add, change.
Yeah. So like my problem is I have like way more than one, right? As somebody, so like this comes back to something I said in my talk, which is that like the grammar of the Ruby language is extremely complicated. Like the way you actually write and express like Ruby programs, there are so many different ways to express the same thing. Like, and we're adding more, right? Like Mats is adding right-hand assignment to Ruby in 3. Like, like my hot take on that is it's a bad idea and we shouldn't do it. Like just like fundamental, because like so here's how I think about this, and this is actually something a friend of mine, James Coughlin, helped give me some real clarity on a while back, which is that like if you add features to the language that don't give you any new capabilities, that aren't more powerful than existing constructs, like you're effectively increasing the complexity of the implementation of the language for no additional benefit to the folks writing in it, right? And so if you made me pick one thing I would change about Ruby, I would remove the 1.9 hash syntax with the like colon at the end, and go back to only having hash rockets, which is like, this is one of the most controversial takes in like all of being a Ruby developer, is that hash rockets are good actually, and that like the 1.9 style syntax where you have the colon at the end and then an expression is bad actually. Because like if you think about it, right, when that syntax was introduced, we didn't gain an ability to do something we couldn't previously do. Like we could always put symbol keys and hashes before. It just made it so it's slightly fewer characters to do that. And like the argument I hear a lot is that it reads more like JSON, except that it's not actually compatible with JSON, because if you put quotes there, it produces a symbol and not a string. And so like everything in that family of like the new 1.9 style hash syntax is just like, and calling it new at this point is ridiculous, right? Because 1.9 came out, what, like 7 or 8 years ago, maybe more at this point. It's new to me, and I learned a Ruby that didn't have that feature. But like, yeah, so like and to sort of move up a level, it's stuff like that. It's things in the language where we didn't gain the ability to do anything new by adding it. I think stuff that we could take out and it would be just fine, right? Of course, we would break people's programs, and Mats doesn't want to break people's programs, so we're never going to get that. But that's what I would remove.
Actually, I know, like after Penelope talk, I actually know what I want to remove, and I would love to remove one like single quotes. Because like we have double quotes and like instead, like, so it's confusing every time. It's like slip into the merge request, and you start like for single quotes when you add parameter string, and you have to change it, and like you have to like in other direction, and it's just like, please use different quotes like in your merge request review, and like it doesn't provide any, like it's a lot of hassle, but it doesn't provide any like reasonable value for all of us.
So Tetiana, I will be pleased to tell you that Rubyfmt replaces single quotes with double quotes everywhere. Nice. In fact, all string literals apart from here docs, Rubyfmt normalizes them to being double quoted. So like if you do like %Q or %W or whatever the like weird syntax for starting a string is, like it will also normalize those to being double quoted. And so like Rubyfmt takes an extremely hardline stance on this, which is that double quotes are the right way to express strings in Ruby.
Well, there you go, Tetiana. Problem solved.
You know, in the chat today, I've actually seen when Mats was mentioning when Mats showed some hash rockets for the right side right alignment assignment. Sorry, I'm messing it up. But I was actually kind of surprised to see that folks were pretty excited to see hash rockets. It was like hash rockets, heart emojis. So I was like, okay, people do like the hash rocket. I kind of came on Ruby after 1.9, so I got used to the colon. But anyway, yeah, it's interesting to see.
I mean, so like I have sort of like I have questions about that. So like for example, in a hash literal, it's completely valid to say like I think now you can say like open parenthesis, some expression, fat arrow, variable name, close parenthesis, fat arrow, value, and that will work because of like how the Ruby grammar is structured. Like right-hand side assignment will be an expression, and then like that expression, if you wrap it in parentheses, can go in a hash key, and like so like, and this is what I mean, right? Like if we're adding capabilities to the language, let's not make sure they introduce like new ways of being extremely confusing. And my guess is this will end up being one that people tend not to use.
Thank you. I really appreciate the candor and like the passion coming from your opinions.
I'm well known for being someone.
Sorry, Penelope.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I'm well known for being someone who has strong opinions about Ruby styling. I mean, I'm inventing a tool to enforce my opinions on Ruby styling on other people. So, like, of course I have strong opinions about it.
Well, it also kind of sounds like you've been coding like forever. I mean, how long have you been coding, and why Ruby?
Yeah, so that is a question in two parts. I started programming when I was like 12 or 13 in Java 1.2, which yeah, probably dates and ages me a little bit. And so I did that. Like, I learned some Python, some Haskell, some C. Like I was fascinated by computers from the earliest age. There is in fact a photo of me as a baby playing with the IBM PC Portable that my parents had at home. And yeah, so like the way I came to Ruby is like, it's kind of an interesting story. I was taking a web applications course in university. It was like, here are some languages with frameworks, and I picked Ruby on Rails. And then they were like, you must write automated testing for this web application you're developing, because they were like trying to teach us like good software development practices or something, I guess. And I was like, okay, so let's take a look at Rspec. And then I started running into bugs in Rspec. And so that's actually how I ended up becoming an Rspec committer, is basically like sending bug fixes to the Rspec tracker from while I was in university, building my university Rails application. So yeah, that's the story.
Wow, ever since you were 12, wow. And how about you, Tetiana?
So actually, my first language was kind of embarrassing. It was Visual Basic. But it's not my fault, as my mom told me, teach me.
Not embarrassing at all.
But I was actually supposed to, I wanted to be a game developer, and I was really like into it when during university years. But one day actually I discovered, like, it's also a quite funny story how I discovered about Ruby. And I found out there is like a company that search for like junior developers, and they are like close to like the next places from my house. So I decided like it would be nice to like have a job there, because it's like easy to go. And they were actually searching for developers on Ruby, and I actually tried like what is actually exactly this language. And I'll start like reading the syntax, and I really love it. And I like, because I was bought on our slogan that it's like a best friend for a developer. And since then I've like and actually the job was on in web development, as well as like also with Rails. And I've just like I was impressed by syntax, and I really love it. So I've just forget about game design, and I switched to computer networks, because I didn't know like anything about it at that point of time, and I decided it would be really fun, and it's still really fun. And I didn't get that job, but I get another one, and since then I'm like a happy Ruby developer.
Wow. But okay, so initially a game development. So what is your favorite game actually?
My favorite game, actually, the last one I really liked. It was sorry, I didn't manage to like pass it on PlayStation, so I've just forget the name. But I really like a fan of adventure games. So like I guess Siberia was my like best like I really love it so much when I was a kid.
And now these days, you also play games nowadays?
Not so like not frequently, but sometimes.
Awesome.
Penelope, are you like playing games online or PlayStation or?
Yeah, I play a decent amount of video games. It varies, but recently I've been playing a lot of Factorio, and a lot of a game called Monster Train, which is like it's a card roguelike. And I see Ramon is very excited when I say Factorio.
Yeah, Ramon is very excited.
I get excited easily. Oh, that's excellent. I think, especially now that we're spending a lot of time inside, it's a great way to keep yourself busy. And I think I really like that nowadays people are so open and free to share their hobbies when it comes to this sort of thing. It's really helped me, come out of my shell and put, wear my hobbies with pride as well. That said, I'd love to hear, mentioning, Penelope, you mentioned that you were doing a little bit of Rust. Yay! I'm curious, question for both of you, but I'll start with Penelope. Are you doing any other programming languages that you've been dabbling with that you want to share with us a little bit?
Yeah, so like the answer to this question is complicated and multifaceted. In my job, I do a lot of Ruby and some Go. So I like, and actually in my not previous job, but the one before, I did a lot of work in Go as well. So I've been programming a lot of Go. Ruby, like 90% of all the code in Ruby format is written in Rust. So like obviously Rust, and also actually some of Ruby format is written in C. Because the Ruby interpreter is written in C. We have to connect like the Ruby interpreter to Rust somehow to do that. Dog. We very easily distract. This is now a dog conference. No, so we have to write some C code to integrate the Ruby interpreter into the Rust program. So I also like program a bunch of C. Those are like the main languages I work in a daily basis. Like JavaScript every once in a while. I have some experience. I wouldn't say I'm good at JavaScript, but like I get along. I think that's true for a lot of us. And then like I'm fluent in a long list of languages. I think perhaps the weirdest one that I'm fluent in that people never expect is Haskell. I have built some truly large Haskell programs in my time, and that has always been a really interesting experience.
Oh, thanks. That's really interesting to hear. How about you, Tetiana? Have you been messing around in other languages and got strong opinions for us?
No, I actually don't have strong opinions. I'm like
fair enough.
Yeah, I'm just like I'm balancing, I guess, this group. So but yeah, I'm like basically like for the day life, I'm written in Ruby, and with saying Ruby, I guess I should say Rails because I'm working on the Rails application, and yeah, like the Go is a second language that we used for writing our tools in my team, but like right now, like mostly it's Ruby, but I've been as I said, I was written a lot in C#, C++, yeah, and a bit of Lisp, I guess, so something like that.
Nice.
Yeah, and really, really poor JavaScript.
I understand. I feel you. Yeah. Well, thank you both. So I'm curious. Again, staying in, spending lots of time online and indoors. I'm curious. Have you been watching lots of conference talks? And if so, are there any particular ones that you would like to take this opportunity to give a shout out to? Maybe coming up today or at another event that you've been to lately, or.
Tetiana, would you like to go first?
Sorry.
So like yeah, like I guess in July I've been participating in the RubyConf Buy, which is like also right now this year it's online conference, but it was held by the team from Minsk, and it was really great, and like there is some great talks I've heard there. So like I'll be excited when they publish it online somewhere. And I guess I would love to promote Ruby meditation events, which is happening in Kiev, Ukraine. But it's like I guess it's everything is this year. It's actually have the cup. Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
So it's happening online. So I'm excited to see what events they'll organize next.
Lovely.
And then on my side, like, so there's like, since the pandemic has begun, I would say like the new speaker I was not aware of prior to like this is Brian Cantrell, who is not actually speaking about Ruby subjects at all. Brian sort of comes from the systems and ops world and gives these like very compelling talks about taking the Unix philosophy and applying it to cloud, which as a reliability engineer, as someone who leads teams of engineers building complex cloud systems, is like fascinating to me. So like if folks are sort of in the ops, reliability, like cognitive systems engineering space, I would highly recommend looking up Brian and binging on his talks. He has like a big archive, which is really nice. And then I will give a shout out to Sean's talk. I have seen it. It is great. If you played Pokemon as a child and want to learn about hilarious bugs, highly, highly recommend. Yeah, and then I guess I would not be doing my job correctly if I didn't give a plug to RubyConf. CFP is open. You have about 6 days left to get your submissions in. Please, 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 please submit a talk to RubyConf. We would love to have you. And like, because there is no like travel involved this year, if you can't usually make it, this is a great time to speak in front of a large Ruby audience.
That is wonderful. Thank you for the reminder.
Yeah.
See, go ahead.
No, sorry. No, so the Ruby Heroes is a retired brand. So I'm curious, Tetiana, who in the Ruby community inspires you?
I guess my one pick will be Katrina Owen, and I really like her books and talks, and they're really insightful. And at the same point of time, she's really kind and nice person, and I really love to hear anything from you from her. Every talk from her is really great for me. So Katrina will be my choice.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. Yes, Katrina Owen. How about you, Penelope? Who is your community hero, heroine?
Yeah, I of course agree on Katrina Owen. I think she's fantastic. Sandy Metz is a big name that comes forward to me as someone like I look up to and have had great conversations with over the years. I think perhaps lesser known figure who is having an outsized impact on the Ruby language is Mame. Yusuke Endo is his full name, but he goes by Mame everywhere on the internets. He's a Ruby core team member. He does a lot of work on pushing forward the actual internals of the Ruby language, and not a ton of folks know his name, but that's someone who is less well known, but I think is very important. And I guess perhaps also actually Eileen Ushitel probably deserves a mention here as well. Like, it's funny because like Eileen is an extremely good friend of mine, and so it's like hard to describe as like a hero. But Eileen basically single-handedly has been working on the major and important feature development in Ruby on Rails for the last several years. There have been other folks who've been sort of like contributing and maintaining, but like Eileen has implemented some of the headline features in the new Rails versions, and the work she's doing is just so important for our community.
Oh yeah, yes, oh for sure. How about you,
a solid list of people.
I know you're still, since you're on the panel.
Okay. I wasn't ready.
Who's your Ruby hero?
Who is my Ruby hero? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm sorry, just put you on the spot right there.
I guess that all of you haven't mentioned already. You know, I have massive respect for people like Katrina and Yusuke and so on, and of course Eileen. And well, I think for me, what's really been focusing for me is what the people come from making the Ruby community better. I guess I would give a shout out to folks like Kaya Santro, who gave a talk at NoRuKo last year. She's running the Code Curious, formerly known as Rails Girls Berlin group in Berlin. And she and Amr, who's another Ruby hero of mine and is speaking at this conference, they've both been doing such a fantastic job of keeping this need to learn, this urge to cooperate going for me. And that's something that's been mattering a lot for me lately. Just keeping going, keeping learning, staying. Yeah. And yourself, Raita, how about you?
Hey. Oh, well, actually, it's for me, the heroes are actually the people who keep the community going. So it's not just one particular person, but it's like the people who have this passion, this love for Ruby, and wants to keep they want to keep connecting people, helping them out. So organizing meetups and getting people together, connecting them. Basically, I consider them my heroes because I learn a lot from them. Not just the organizing part, but like the events themselves. So for me, basically, and I get all my inspiration from them as well. How do you if I have a question about a certain topic and I would like to learn more about it, then maybe the community members can help me with certain questions or get me in contact with. And so for me, basically, within Ruby, I found all the community people that are my heroes. So it's not just one name; it's all of them. Sorry.
I know how you feel. It's hard to pin it down. So I think we're just about coming up to our last question for today. So one thing that I found in my experience is when people are starting out as programmers and they ask me things like, what is the programming language that will solve all of my needs, that I will spend all of my time learning as my first language, and then I'm set for life. And I kind of struggle to answer this question. So I'm curious, how do you feel about this?
I could write a whole talk on this question. I think, okay, so there's like an easy answer and a bad answer, and like a more complicated answer. The easy answer is, if you want one language that will probably give you the easiest learning and the most leverage, JavaScript is probably the right one. It's accessible on server, on client. The community is very strong, like great ecosystem, and there's great learning resources, right? Like, and also like you can teach someone JavaScript from a thing they already use every day to browse Facebook and Twitter, their browser, right? You can teach them JavaScript in the browser without them ever having to leave, which is trickier with other languages. The more complicated answer to that question is that there is no silver bullet, there is no ideal programming language, and everything in technology is a trade-off. If you're extremely new, your brain literally is not capable of even seeing what the trade-offs are yet. And so you can pick basically any language and have as much, like, effectively, like, within orders of magnitude, as much leverage as any other. Like, if you pick COBOL, you're probably going to have a worse time than if you pick JavaScript, right? Like, nobody's really programming in COBOL anymore. It's hard to get the compilers. There's not a great eco. But, like, honestly, learning how to program in COBOL and then transmuting that knowledge out to something like JavaScript or Ruby, like, is actually, like, that's already going to have brought the learning curve down, right? And here I'm obviously using COBOL as a straw man. Like, nobody should be learning COBOL in 2020. So like my sort of response to that question is it's a badly formed question. Like that, because the answer is no. There is no one language that will solve all of your problems forever in every context. And so this is where I come to like, JavaScript is an extremely pragmatic answer for a whole variety of reasons as to like what's a good language to start learning in. That said, like, obviously I'm a Ruby developer. I like a lot of Ruby. It would be nice if there were more Ruby developers in the world, but like, yeah.
Thanks a lot. I think I agree with a lot of that. I think it is like that silver, like when you said silver bullet, I was like, that's the word. Yeah. Sorry, Tetiana, how about you? Do you have an answer or an opinion that you would share?
Yeah, actually, I'm strongly agree that there is no like one language to rule them all, and like we have to carefully choose like the tools for every task that we work on. And like we are like with experience, yeah, you know these trade-offs, and you actually can understand for which like task you can apply the trade-off, like this one or another one. But talking about like the first language that the new developer should learn, I don't have actually this answer for it. I remember that we have like big discussion in the university like a long time ago, like what our professor like we discussed it with what our like students on their first like year, what languages they should learn first, like on which they should write their program. And I still don't know, because I was like my first language in university was C, and I still grateful because like I spent a few months with like I have no idea what I'm doing. I was just like copying stuff, and it's magically worked, and sometimes it doesn't work, and I didn't know why. But in a few months I realized, and still this knowledge helped me to like basically helps me to understand how actually everything works, and it still helped me to write better programs in Ruby. But I don't know, it depends. I guess Ruby could be a good choice if you want to just quickly start and jump in and see how, like, get some results, like be encouraged to learn more when you get some results. But I guess my answer will be not learn one, but learn different and understand what's the difference between them.
Wonderful.
Yes,
thank you so much. Well,
I
think we've come to the end.
Penelope, thank you very much. Tetiana, thank you also very much. So I think we have to wrap this up, Ramon.
Absolutely. Can't thank you enough for taking the time to chat with us, and feel free to hop on the chat on YouTube if you want to answer any questions or check them out. And yeah, thanks for everything, and thanks for your talks.
All right.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we are now upon our very, very exciting musical intermezzo. We're going to be listening to some, and I will say, sick beats from Half Byte and Nerd Disco. This is going to be great. Don't go anywhere. Grab a bite. We're going to have some pizza. Get your wireless headphones. Listen to that. It's going to be amazing. See you in half an hour.